in Ghana and in the UK also. Okay, some people think, and I'm only talking about mistakes in Ghana. I see this in the UK also. So it's not it's Hey guys, welcome to Asher and God channel, making Africa home again, one family at a time. If you're installing LED lights in your home, this one mistake can cost you thousands in rewiring, damaged ceilings, overheating, and even in some cases, a fire risk. And the scary part is most electricians don't explain this before installation. Okay guys, my real name is Kingsley. Okay, I'm an electrical engineer. I design systems professionally, and I've seen this mistake in Ghana and in the UK also. Okay, some people think, and I'm only talking about mistakes in Ghana. I see this in the UK also. So it's not. I'm not bashing anyone. What I'm trying to do is to help those who are building anywhere in the world, actually, but specifically Ghana, to build well and to build safely, because it is a big investment and it costs a lot of money to build in Ghana. So that is the aim. Okay, this happens in the UK also. Okay, even in high-end builds worldwide, this happens. So today I'll show you what actually goes wrong with LED installations, or some LED installations, and how to do it properly the very first time. Okay, so let's talk about the big LED myth. Okay, the big LED myth is that LEDs use less power, so therefore the design does not matter. It is true, LEDs do use less power, but the design always matters. Why does it matter? Number one, LEDs are electronic systems. They're not just bulbs. Okay, you've got an LED driver, then you've got the, let's say, the bulbs. Okay, the driver is like a little black box. If you get an LED light, you see it's a little black box. It converts the AC power into DC, because LEDs actually operate on DC, converts it to DC, which is what the light operates on. Okay, so those drivers dissipate a lot of heat. Okay, so there has to be enough space within the ceiling for the ventilation for the air to move to dissipate the heat, unless it's a fire risk. So they dissipate heat, that driver, and also the quality of the voltage in your home matters. Okay, because that can also cause damage to the driver and therefore premature failure of the LED light. Okay, so poor design, premature failure. The key thing here is, guys, LEDs don't fail because they're cheap. They fail because the design is wrong. First costly mistake, burying the drivers in the ceilings. Okay, drivers dissipate heat. Drivers generate heat. Okay, so yes, it's always going to be in the ceiling void between, you know, the POP and the concrete slab, but you need to make sure there's enough height so that there'll be enough natural air movement for those drivers. Okay, but if you bury the drivers, I've seen people burying the drivers in the concrete, which is madness. I think that was a very immature, or that was an amateur contractor, to be honest. That is going to overheat, and that's going to be a disaster waiting to happen. Ceiling cutouts required later means major rework. Okay, you always got to have you buy an LED light where you can remove the light and the driver comes through the hole as well. If the driver can't come through the hole, then you need to have an additional access panel or some sort in the ceiling. Real cost examples of this would be ceiling repairs if you don't have access, or repainting and rewiring. I've seen homeowners spend, you know, a couple of thousands fixing the problem that started with a $20 shortcut. Okay, don't do shortcuts. Install properly, considering all these issues. The costly mistake number two is no access strategy. Before you buy your LED light, make sure the driver, the electrician will cut the hole in the ceiling, POP or gypsum ceilings, right? Make sure the driver can come out with the light fitting if the light fitting needs to be repaired or what have you. Because if you don't have access to the driver, it's hidden somewhere, it can't come through the hole, then the driver will fail before the LED fails. And if you don't have access, it means you're gonna have to damage the ceiling to get to the driver. Okay, so either you have two options: either the driver comes through the ceiling with the light fitting, I'll show you some pictures of the driver on your screen so you know what I'm talking about. Or you have a central location for all the drivers and the cables go out to the light fittings. Okay. Or if the driver doesn't come out with the light fitting, you have access panels in the ceiling that you can just undo to take the driver out. To be honest, most modern LED light fittings, the driver will come through the hole. Are you looking to build your dream home in Ghana? Or are you building already? Would you benefit from regular site visits to monitor your building and receive regular progress reports? Well, if that's the case, and that's you, look no further. Asher and Gad Consultancy at your service. We offer the following services: electrical design, construction monitoring inspections, site progress reports, consultation for all items MEP, witnessing of testing and commissioning, periodic snagging, vetting of specialist subcontractors. We also report site activities to you to hopefully help you spend your money efficiently and much, much more. Get in contact for your building needs. Details on the screen. Asher and Gad Consultancy, making Africa home again, one family at a time. Now, this costly mistake number 3, this is something that is prevalent in Ghana for reasons that I've explained on this channel a number of times. The ECG voltage quality, wrong voltage and surge protection. LED drivers, this is the sensitive part of the light fitting. This is why they fail a lot. You buy new fittings and after a couple of months you see 1 or 2 are not coming on. LED drivers hate, number 1, voltage spikes. They hate poor earthing. They hate surges. Okay, so if you don't have surge protection, know that you're risking your LED light fittings to be damaged or stop working after a while. If you have an AVR fault or generator switching, AVR fault or generator switching can worsen this. Okay, you don't lose your lights because of bad luck. You lost them because protection was never designed. Okay, if you're building in Ghana, I always recommend you do install an AVR to ensure the voltage quality is adequate to the light fittings and to all the equipment in your home. I do recommend you install surge protective devices so that you don't get surges into the electrical system. You can have surges when it's thundering and lightning in your area. That's when you have surges indirectly coming through the electrical wires, and those surges can damage the LED drivers. These are the things that happen if you don't have the correct design, you don't have the correct installation. Over time, the lights can stop working here and there. Costly mistake number 4, I think we are, no zoning or future proofing. I've been to a house, in fact, we went to inspect a house in Mampong just about 2 weeks ago in the middle of nowhere. But it's a lovely, in the middle of the forest, really. Lovely house, but like, for example, the ground floor was all on one lighting circuit. That's poor design. That is poor design. You can't have a whole level all on one lighting circuit. You've got to divide up the spaces. You know, put the bedrooms on one circuit, put the kitchen on a different circuit, put the lounge on a different circuit. You don't want to have an issue with one circuit and impact so many different areas. Okay, that is important, because if you don't do that, you're going to, in the future, have significant upgrades. If you have a problem, you have to retrace the walls and replace perfectly good fittings if you have an issue later on in the future. What is the correct engineering approach? Number 1, the LED drivers must be fully accessible. Check that when you're buying your light fittings. Number 2, heat management. Make sure there's enough space between the POP or plasterboard ceiling and the concrete above. I would recommend you want to be having at least, I would say 150 millimeters or 200 millimeters. In fact, 200 millimeters between the plasterboard and the concrete slab as a minimum, to ensure you have enough natural airflow, all right, around the drivers to dissipate the heat. Ensure you have surge protective devices or a surge protective device protecting your entire home. Okay? And if you don't ask for these things in Ghana, you're not going to get it. Depending on the electrician, if you don't ask for an RCD, you probably won't get it either, even though that is mandatory. If you know, you know. You need to take control. When you're building in Ghana, it's a learning process. You need to learn. That's why we try to make the videos. We try not to go too technical. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but try to explain it in a simple manner as much as possible so that you can understand what we're saying in high level terms. Okay, proper zoning. Don't put an entire floor on one lighting circuit. Ensure you have spare capacity, spare breakers and a distribution board. When an electrician is installing a distribution board, if you go there after the building is finished and all of the breakers are connected, then there's an issue. There should be spare breakers, spare ways. Very, very important. The distribution board should not be fully occupied. So tell your electrician, look, I'm not going to purchase the distribution board until you've put all the wires through the pipes and you know exactly how many circuits you're connecting the breakers to. That way the electrician can buy the correct size distribution board, whether it's an 8-way TPNN or a 12-way TPNN. This is not luxury design. This is basic electrical engineering. All right, guys. Finally, I put all of this into a checklist that saves clients thousands during inspections and installations. The link is below. Use it before your electrician cuts a single hole in your ceiling. Hope that was enjoyable, guys. Hope that was useful. As usual, like, share, subscribe, hype the video. From Gades Kemesia and from me, guys, Yebeshia. See you next time.